The screen flickered to life, projecting the Galactic Council assembly in real time. The chamber glowed gold and white, pristine and diplomatic. And yet, as the Terran ambassador stood at the center podium, there was no mistaking the tension in his shoulders. The voice of Council Speaker Talzin echoed, smooth and sharp. Earth was granted admission under the assumption of maturity. What we've seen since is a species that clings to violence, paranoia, and primitive sovereignty. Ambassador Rourke opened his mouth to respond, but Talzin's claws tapped a datapad and the chamber silenced him mid-sentence. The translator bots buzzed out the next council vote. Motion to suspend Terran access to council-wide quantum relays and Class B weapons technology. Vote initiated. One by one, the voting glyphs lit up. Green for aye. Red for nay. Green. 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 Dozens of them. No hesitation. No allies. The feed cut. Commander Elias, Ash, Ward stared at the now black screen from the command deck of Erebus Station. A low hum filled the silence. Beyond the reinforced viewport, Terran space stretched cold and infinite. The stars didn't care about politics. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Mira Kwan, stood stiffly beside him. They didn't just suspend weapons access, she said, voice tight. They blocked hyperspace lanes to our outer colonies. Stranding supply ships. Cutting trade. We're boxed in. Ash didn't look at her. They're testing our response. She hesitated. And if we do respond? Now he turned. Ice blue eyes locked on hers. Then we stop being the polite species playing their game. Ash dismissed the screen and walked toward the command console. The deck officers fell quiet. Everyone could feel it, the change in the air, the silent signal from the man who had once hunted terrorists through Europa's caves and broken pirates above the Martian belt. He keyed in an encrypted channel. Admiral Ruiz. Erebus online. A woman's voice answered, curt and controlled. Go ahead. They crossed the line, Ash said. It's time. Confirming Protocol Phoenix? She asked. He paused for half a breath. Confirmed. Protocol Phoenix. Words buried in a dead program from the Terran Unification Wars. It wasn't just a defensive contingency. It was a resurrection. Ash walked through the core spine of Erebus Station as dormant systems roared to life. Long-abandoned research bays flickered. Engineering hatches hissed open. Along the outer hull, once decommissioned stealth drones began powering up. Tech the Council said humanity was not mature enough to possess. Tech the Council never knew still existed. His AI assistant, Vega, manifested as a cold blue shimmer beside him. Good evening, Commander. Reactivation at 27%. Would you like a systems update or psychological profiling of potential Council retaliation vectors? Ash smirked faintly. Start with the latter. Talzin leads from arrogance. He assumes fear is obedience. But Earth isn't afraid. It's angry. And anger scales faster. Ash nodded. Vega always did have a poetic edge to her analysis. He kept walking. Later, in his private quarters, Ash sat at the table, alone but not at rest. A small hollow of his sister glowed beside his hand, Dr. Lena Ward. Smiling, caught mid-laugh during a long-lost summer on Earth. Her life had been politics. Diplomacy. Hope. She believed the Council wanted peace. She died during a Council Peace Summit bombing 7 years ago. Officially. Rogue separatists. Unofficially? Ash had pieced together whispers. Mercenaries paid with credits routed through Thalshera. A job designed to provoke a war Earth wasn't allowed to win. He hadn't spoken of it since. Not even to Mira. But tonight, as Erebus breathed again, that memory flared. He touched the hollow once, then slid it aside. The next day, Ash convened his inner circle in the command war room. A spherical map of Terran space hovered above the table, glowing red at the edges, signaling Council interdiction zones. Lieutenant Kwan, Chief Engineer Mikhailov, Intelligence Officer Teresa Ryan, and Tactical Chief Rowe were present. Veterans all, loyal beyond doubt. We're outmatched in numbers, Rose said, arms crossed. Outgunned. Outresourced. Hell, even our media channels are council filtered now. True, Ash replied. But they made one mistake. He tapped the hollow. A schematic unfolded. Erebus Station's hidden armory and sleeper fleets. Covert assets from old Earth wars never registered with the Council. They thought we evolved out of war. What they don't realize is, we refined it. Ryan leaned forward. So what's the first move? Ash's voice dropped lower. We don't strike. Not yet. First, we make them doubt. We remind the galaxy what we are. Vega launched Signal Echo, a psychological campaign. Not lies. Just history. Within hours, Council channels were flooded with Terran war archives. Footage of the Mars uprising. The Pacific Rim collapse. The firestorms of Nairobi. But more than that, human victories against impossible odds. Not out of superiority, but desperation. Adaptability. A soldier digging trenches in radioactive snow. A mother crafting plasma shields in an apartment garage. A dying general redirecting satellites by hand to save a colony. Raw. Unfiltered. Terrifying. The galaxy, so used to sanitized records, watched in stunned silence. That night, Ash stood again in the command deck. Mira joined him, arms folded. They'll see this as propaganda, she said. Only the ones with something to hide. She glanced at him. You think this will change anything? Ash looked out the window, the stars still cold. It already has. The room was quiet. Not tense, focused. The way predators go quiet before a strike. Commander Ash Ward stood at the center of the Erebus Station war room, his voice even, precise. We didn't fire first. But we will answer. A projection of Valis Prime rotated slowly above the table, a council-shared colony where human and alien settlers coexisted. Barely. According to intercepted chatter, council enforcers were already en route. The excuse? Preemptive containment. Lieutenant Miraquan tapped the rotating image. If they're moving on Valis, they're escalating. Fast. We're still within treaty space. Ash gave a small nod. Which means they think we won't respond. He turned to Therese Orion, his intel chief. What do we have on council ship movement? Ryan brought up a secondary display. One cruiser. Unmarked. Standard stealth SIG, but it's slipping, probably a scout. They don't know we've spotted them. Crew? Estimated 12. Elite recon. Ash's jaw tightened. We capture it. They struck at 0300 hours. The Erebus interceptor, designated Ghost Talon, slipped out from the station's dark side, riding a power-dampened trajectory. Its hull shimmered black against the void. Inside, the Marines were silent. No one spoke as the magnetic clamps latched onto the cruiser's underbelly. No alarms were triggered. No lights flared. Ash watched the live feed from the war room. The lead Marine, Sergeant Keller, moved like a shadow through the council ship's halls. 2 minutes in, gunfire erupted. Plasma bursts lit the corridor red and gold. 3 minutes in, silence. Target secured, Keller reported. Prisoners restrained. Minor resistance. Data core intact. Ash leaned forward. Bring it home. Hours later, Ash stood in the Erebus debrief chamber, eyes locked on a projection of the Council cruiser's command logs. Mira and Ryan flanked him, reading silently. Here, Ryan said, highlighting an entry. Look at the orders. Operation Red Echo. The Council's planning a hit on our comm arrays near Valis. False flag it to look like human terrorism. Justify full sanctions. Ash didn't blink. They want war. But only on their terms. Vega's voice chimed in, low and calm. Strategic note, psychological manipulation is Council standard practice against new species. Misdirection. Isolation. Forced compliance through image degradation, not direct engagement. Ash nodded slowly. Then we shatter the image. By the next cycle, Signal Echo, humanity's response, went galaxy-wide. Not through official channels. Those were locked tight. Instead, Signal Echo used piggyback transmissions, code-injected archives, and burst relays from pirate frequencies. It hit the outer colonies first, then the inner worlds. Then, finally, Council Core space. It wasn't propaganda. It was history. Human history, raw, brutal, unfiltered. Scenes of Earth during the famine riots. Footage from orbital skirmishes over Luna's titanium fields. Soldiers in exosuits dragging wounded through Mars dust storms. Civilians using jury-rigged drones to fight back against autonomous kill bots. Not triumph. Not polished narratives. Survival. The broadcasts didn't tell the galaxy what humanity was. They showed them. Ash watched the aftermath unfold from his command deck. I thought they'd block it faster, Mira said. They tried, Vega replied. But the audience routed it themselves. They want to see more. Ash folded his arms. We just changed the question. Ryan entered, eyes bright. You need to see this. She flicked on a news feed from Norlis 3, a major council hub. A protest crowd filled the screen, council citizens waving signs in half a dozen languages. No more council blood games. Humans bleed. Humans fight. Humans don't bow. Quan stared at it. They're afraid of us. Ash shook his head. They're starting to understand us. Behind the scenes, Ash made moves of his own. From Erebus, encrypted pings went out to old black sites, places erased from maps after the Earth unification war. Data vaults woke from cold storage. Autonomous skirmisher drones blinked to life. Human-made tactical AIs, illegal under Council law, were reassigned to deep watch mode. And in the outer system, an unmarked Terran stealth ship, Viper 6, was dispatched to shadow Vallis Prime. If the Council fired the first shot, they'd learn Earth wasn't alone in the dark. A week later, Ash addressed his team in the hangar bay. Below them, rows of Terran soldiers trained in silence. None wore Council standard gear. All were clad in adaptive armor woven from materials Earth had never shared. This isn't about glory, he said. We don't get statues. We don't get cheers. He paced slowly, the sound of his boots echoing off the steel. The Council thinks restraint is weakness. That we've grown soft in peace. They forget where we came from. They don't know what it cost us to survive our own extinction. He stopped in front of them. So we remind them. Quietly. Surgically. Not with noise, but with precision. Later that night, Mira found Ash alone in the observation deck. The stars hung heavy across the glass. You're ready to escalate, she said. Not a question. Yes, he answered. She watched him a moment. We're outnumbered. Ash nodded. We always are. They'll come harder next time. Then we hit harder still. Silence lingered. Why you? She finally asked. Why lead this? Ash didn't answer right away. Then, because I remember the day we stopped being afraid. Ash stood over the hollow map of Vallis Prime, the terrain display rotating slowly. Forests, mining outposts, hydro farms, and scattered towns, all highlighted in pale blue. In the center, blinking red, was the Council garrison. 6,000 troops. Orbital guns. Zero negotiation. Council forces seized the comm tower at New Kensa, Ryan reported. Jammed local nets, grounded outbound vessels. They haven't fired yet, but civilians are being rounded up. They're calling it a quarantine. Ash didn't blink. False flag op confirmed? She nodded. Encrypted data from the captured cruiser lines up. This is it. They want us to make the first move. Mira muttered. Ash didn't turn. Then we don't move. We whisper. He tapped his console. Deploy Viper team. Priority, asset retrieval, 0 casualties, leave them confused. On Vallis Prime, the night was still. The Council soldiers had posted scanners and patrol drones around the perimeter of New Kensa. Everything was in order. Calm. Predictable. Then, things began to vanish. First, a patrol drone lost signal. Then a barracks power grid glitched for 6 seconds. One soldier woke up on the roof of the wrong building, intact, but with no memory of how he got there. The council commander barked orders. He didn't see the shadows moving behind his men. 2 hours later, Erebus received the update. Ash leaned forward as the helmet cam footage played. Council forces were in disarray, disoriented. No kills, no blood. Just humiliation. The garrison's commanding officer had been tagged with a tracking node on the back of his neck, left active. A silent warning. "They call us brutes," Ash said. "But we mastered precision before they crawled into space." Mira stared at the screen. "They'll retaliate." Ash nodded. "Good." The response came fast. Council Chancellor Vrex Talzin appeared in a broadcast from Thalshera's citadel, surrounded by glowing banners and guards. "The human campaign of misinformation, sabotage, and intimidation ends now. We will not bow to fear-mongering savages pretending to be diplomats." He smiled coldly. "For the safety of the galaxy, Terran space must be contained." Behind him, transport ships launched into orbit. Full-scale mobilization. Ash didn't waste time. He activated Phase 3. "Vega, initiate silencer protocol," he ordered. "Acknowledged." "Begin cascade?" "Yes." "Minimal exposure. I want disruption, not collapse." Silencer protocol had been a myth. A whisper among Black Ops archives. Designed during Earth's war against rogue AIs, it wasn't a weapon. It was a ghost. Vega injected microscopic viral code into Council networks. Not to destroy. Just to doubt. Council fleet AIs began seeing double. Warning lights blinked on clean systems. Non-existent threats popped up on sensors. One ship panicked and discharged its weapons systems into empty space. By the time Council tech teams realized nothing was actually wrong, trust was broken. Meanwhile, on Erebus, Ash was ready. "We've rattled them," he told the crew. "Now we tighten the grip." He brought up the internal projection, known Council atrocities scrubbed from public record. "Ryan, release the full archive." Mira stiffened. "That includes the Valis experiments." "Are you sure?" Ash didn't hesitate. "Let the galaxy see who they are." The fallout hit harder than expected. Footage of Council scientists performing neurological splicing on human colonists, illegally, circulated faster than any Council statement could suppress. It showed test chambers, sedated children, memory wipes. Riots erupted on Norvith, June-Ka, and Cyril Prime, 3 Council planets not even aligned with Earth. Protesters tore down Council statues. Civilians demanded transparency. A few even waved improvised Terran flags. The Council issued formal denials. No one listened. Then the assassins came. Drexry enforcers, the Council's silent blades. Genetically tailored killers, psychically linked, chemically loyal. They slipped into Erebus space cloaked behind a trade convoy, their ship broadcasting harmless merchant codes. No alarms triggered. They boarded during a refueling cycle. Ash was alone in the command corridor when his motion sensor pinged. He didn't flinch. The first attacker moved fast, too fast for a normal humanoid. But Ash wasn't normal. He dropped low, pivoted, and caught the enforcer's wrist mid-strike. The blade hissed past his ear. Ash headbutted hard, bone meeting bone. The enforcer stumbled, shocked. A second came from behind, psychic spike aimed at Ash's cortex. Too late. Ash activated the neural jammers hidden in the corridor walls. Their minds buckled, overclocked brains spasming under focused frequency distortion. They crumpled. Mira and 2 security officers arrived seconds later, guns raised. Ash stood over the downed assassins, breathing steady. "Bring them to interrogation." "Alive." In the cell, one enforcer convulsed, then went limp. Suicide implant. The other twitched but survived. Ryan ran her scanner. "No traceable records," she said. "But the nerve structure matches Drexery design. These were deployed directly from the Council's internal security division." Ash watched the prisoner's face. It wasn't fear. It was confusion. They were told we were prey, he said softly. They weren't trained for resistance. Hours later, a scrambled transmission came from the Council's central relay. It was Talzin again. You are a contagion, Ward. A rot in the roots of diplomacy. Ash answered directly this time. Audio only. No, Chancellor. We're not a disease. We're the immune response. And we've identified the infection. Ash gathered the command team one last time before the end of cycle. He stood at the viewport, stars glittering beyond. They'll come now. With force. With panic. They'll lash out. Mira asked. What do we do when they do? Ash didn't smile. But his eyes burned cold. We make sure the galaxy understands one thing. He turned to face them all. Predators don't roar first. They wait. They hunt. And when they strike, it's already too late. The stars above Thel-Shera burned steady, unaware of the fleet tearing through them. 7 human ships, black-hulled, stealth-rigged, weapons cold, dropped out of folded space above the Council capital. No warning. No announcement. No ceremony. Erebus Station had gone quiet hours ago. Ash Ward had given a single command before they jumped. No one fires unless fired upon. But if they do? End it. Council defense systems scrambled to respond. Automated targeting arrays blinked to life. Long-range artillery locked onto the intruders. Then every system failed. Silencer protocol, now fully seated, triggered a synchronized cascade. Council capital ships mistook each other for threats. Internal sensors registered false hull breaches. Energy reactors throttled themselves offline. And still, the Terran fleet held fire. They didn't come for destruction. They came to arrive. Chancellor Talzin watched it unfold from the Citadel's high chamber. His hands clenched around the railing, knuckles pale. Why aren't they attacking? His advisor whispered. Talzin didn't answer. Because he knew. They weren't here to fight. They were here to prove they didn't need to. On board Oathkeeper, the lead Terran vessel, Commander Ash Ward stood silent on the bridge. Vega's voice broke through the stillness. Council fleets are disoriented. Citadel defense grid is offline. No casualties recorded. Ash nodded once. Broadcast. The galaxy stopped what it was doing as Ash Ward's face appeared on every Council-aligned channel. No filter. No insignia. Just a man in black armor, speaking from the heart of what should have been a trap. We came here unarmed. Not unready. We didn't fire first. We never do. But you will remember us now. He stepped aside. Behind him, a screen played raw Council data, the experiments on colonists, the planned assassinations, the manipulation campaigns spanning decades. You've called us monsters. Savages. Viruses. But it wasn't humanity building bioweapons in children's veins. It wasn't Earth corrupting elections on neutral planets. That was you. We don't want to rule the galaxy. He leaned forward. We just want you to stop pretending you already do. The silence that followed was deafening. Protests erupted almost instantly. But not in Earth's name. In everyone's. Races long silenced under the Council's boot took to the streets. Votes were demanded. Truth commissions formed. But Ash wasn't finished. A Terran drop team landed on Thel-Shera within the hour, cloaked, shielded, surgical. They breached the Citadel's lower halls in under 10 minutes. Talzin's guards resisted. Stunned, not killed. Ward had ordered non-lethal engagement unless absolutely necessary. Then, as the Council chamber debated emergency lockdown, the main doors opened with a metallic hiss. Ash Ward walked in alone. The murmurs died. He carried no weapon. Just a date pad. He climbed the central stairs, slow, deliberate, and stopped directly in front of Talzin. Do you deny what we've shown? Talzin said nothing. Ash raised the pad and displayed a hologram. Council financial routes funding Black Ops mercenaries during the Valis Prime false flag attempt. Gasps spread through the chamber. Still, Talzin didn't move. Ash stepped closer. You tried to cage us. You tried to fracture us. But we aren't broken. He handed the pad to a stunned council deputy. Then turned and addressed the room. We don't want vengeance. We want accountability. And from this day forward, humanity will no longer ask permission to survive. Later, Talzin was escorted out of the chamber, not in chains, but stripped of title. By law, Earth had no authority to imprison him. Ash didn't need it. He chose exile. They dropped him on old Earth. In the ruins of the dead zone near the African wastelands, where solar storms and silence reigned. No guards. No weapons. Just air, food, and enough shelter to survive. Talzin stared at the horizon as the ship vanished. He wasn't afraid of death. He was afraid of being forgotten. Back on Erebus, Mira sat across from Ash, both sipping from steaming mugs of earth-grown coffee. For the first time in weeks, there was no alert blinking in the background. You think they'll reform? She asked. Ash didn't answer right away. They'll pretend to. At first. But they know now. We're not guests at their table. We built our own. She smiled faintly. That sounds like a beginning. Ash nodded. Within weeks, the Apex Accords were drafted. A new interspecies council formed, led not by humans, but structured by Terran doctrine, checks, balance, autonomy. Ash refused a seat. So did Earth. Instead, humanity offered something else. We don't govern. We guard. Apex arbitration force. Neutral. Relentless. Terran-led mediators for frontier disputes. Already feared. Already respected. Months later, on a restored colony on the edge of Terran reach, a young alien child sat beneath a hollow tree, staring up at the stars. His father sat beside him. Is it true? The boy asked. That humans hunted the council? His father chuckled. No. They hunted fear. But aren't they dangerous? The man paused. Yes. But only if you lie to them. He ruffled the child's head. Or try to chain them. Far above, aboard Erebus, Ash stood alone at the viewport. Behind him, ships moved, silent, sharp, prepared. The galaxy wouldn't fall silent again. But it would remember.